the last video we made a simple web, and we chose our core web application, but then we chose an empty web, this one here, but this time we're going to make a web application, and we'll see the difference between them. Obviously this is going to be a bit more sophisticated, and we can have many pages and so on, but this one we only had some text being produced. Let me just show you, just quickly do that and remind you what we did. We made a new web, and then basically we just ran it, and that should produce hello world in our browser. Now let's just take a look where that hello world came from. If we take a look at our Solution Explorer, there was this particular bit. Remember the program file called the startup file, and it was what I'm looking at in particular is this little bit here where it produced this static text hello world onto the browser. So let's focus on that, and this is going to change. What's going to happen when we make a web application is this is now, instead of just putting straightforward text, this is going to be able to call another page. And that's after all what we want to do in building a web. We want to add pages to our website. So let me just close this, and we're going to start up a new project, a new solution. So I can go create a new project, and the web core application, click on next, and then well, that'll do for a name for the moment, web application 5, why not? And then I'll click on create, but this time, as I said, we're going to choose web application. It's got more than so we can add many pages to it with ease. Much later on we're going to do the model view controller web application, and that is really more or less the same as a web app, but it's got the pages in a more organized manner, shall we say. We'll come back to that. So I'll click on create, in this case just our web application. Well, what's different? We've got some pages here which have been produced automatically. In particular, we're going to look at this index page, which is the one which starts up automatically. And then we've still got our program file, and our program file just starts up our startup file. And if we look in the startup file, then yeah, now you see this is where it's changed from previously. We're not just making static text. Use routing. That means we can navigate our way to a new page, basically. Use static files. Indeed, the static file will be the one which is going to be dished up. Sometimes used to be put on the www root folder, but it's actually going to be in the pages folder, and I think the application it's able to automatically go into the pages folder and look for a particular file, which will be the index file by default. Use routing. Yeah, that's just a way of getting to the pages folder. And map razor pages. Let's just see. Well, all of that really means we're going to have a new page. So that's what we're going to do, is to make a new page and open that up. Well, indeed, we already have an index page. If we look in here, index, that index belongs to the error handy, but this one here is the one we're looking for, which is directly beneath the hierarchy and the pages. If we take a look at that, that's the wrong one, whereas the one I'm looking for, that's it there. Sorry, that doesn't belong to the error. This is the index file, which is, and these are razor pages. You can tell that by it's got the CS in front of it. Means you're mixing C# with HTML. That's why they're called CS HTML. We can have it. We can see that over here. That and they come in pairs. One with a .cs, which means it's the actual code itself, the code behind, if you like. But we'll come back to why we have that. But they come in pair, and they're razor pages. So this is the one we're interested in at the moment, which is the simplest one. which is just like an ordinary HTML file, but it's got the CS HTML at the end. And it says what it's going to be doing here. It's just building it up and putting well, might as well just run this and see what the result is, showing you that text should appear in our browser, which indeed we can see. It's just got that text and that hyperlink, just as well, there you are, you can see that in the index file. By the way, you could actually just type in there index, it won't make any difference, and by the way, it's not case sensitive, so if I were to try that URL, it comes to exactly the same page, so it looks like that particular was the default, whether you type index or not. So this is what we have, is a razor page. You can tell that by the ampersands, the @ signs up here, basically saying it's a razor page. Now a razor page is mixing, this is C# code here, mixing C# with HTML on this page, or it mixes it on other pages as well. We've got this thing here which is called a view data, which is a dictionary just containing data basically, and we can use that data, we can transfer it from the C# into HTML. We can do that by putting it into a paragraph like that. Don't forget the @ sign here, so that we can call this up here, whatever text that we wanted to transfer, and then when we run that, you'll find that it's transferred and rendered in the HTML into the browser, just like that. It might be more interesting if we put some more interesting server-side code inside our page here. This is our index page. Let's see what we can find. Let's try this server-side code. This is like calling executables on the server. So it's asking a request, what's the time? And the server should send back the time to us. We might as well get rid of the view data dictionary thing at the moment for a bit of clarity. We actually don't need this stuff as well. Let's try and maybe get rid of that for a bit of clarity. We can see what's going on. We'll leave the welcome there, why not? And then we can run that, and let's just see if it does go and get the time off the server. And when we're getting the time off the server, it's called a service. So we're asking for service on the server, and it should return it back to us and render it eventually in our client browser. There we are. It's giving the current date and time. You'll notice when the web app was made for us, there are a few pages created for us, as well as the index page. We're going to make our own page later, but for the moment it supplied us with the pages. We've got the index file here. We've also got this privacy file. I wonder what that is. Let's take a look at it. We'll open that up, and it just says this page to detail your site's private, whatever. Okay, how do we actually access that? And the answer is through here. We've got privacy. So if I click that, you'll see it tells you exactly what it said before, that that same text, this page, etc. And incidentally, if I just go back there, I could actually type in the privacy. We call this a segment, this extra bit of URL that I'm typing in. There you go. It goes to the privacy now. But also, so that's part of the URL. And the reason that it gets there, it's directed by the ASP routing, which is this thing here somewhere. There we are. It's telling us to use HTTP redirection and use routing, and that's why basically we're allowed to type in here as well. Obviously, I think I showed you before, if you just type in the index, then that is will take you to the index, but you don't need to do that. That one is placed in there by default. But I wonder about clicking here, why that got to there. Well, let's take a look. I need to explain to you what the layout folder, layout file is. Well, when we first start up, we have a view startup here. Let's take a look at that. It says, oh, please go and take a look at the layout folder, so you can change that to set that whatever layout. It's a CSS file, so I'm showing. So we need to try and find that. It's hidden away here somewhere in the shared. There it is. And so if I open that up, you can see that's got the layout for the web page as you see it. There you go. See, that's giving you a particular layout. All these let's use a thing called Bootstrap as well, which is seems to be the fashionable layout. Now, okay, so how does this thing work here? If you press the privacy, let's see if we can find something similar to that. In here, nav bar index, there we go. This little list here contains, it says to tell you what to do basically. So this tacks on the URL segment like I just showed you. It's telling you, basically, so if you click that, it'll go. Now also you can see there it's got the home index is clickable as well. So if we wanted to put our own tag, which is what we will be doing later, we could just put our own list in here and then put in whatever page we want to open up from there, which is rather convenient.